Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, David Brooks, powered by Contractor Rhino. We have a special guest with us for this episode. I'll allow her to introduce herself.
Hey David, thanks for the quick intro. I'm Jenny Benbrook, founder and CEO of Powerhouse Consulting Group. We are a software consulting firm that specializes in making technology make sense for contractors. That's the best way that I can summarize what we do. We are a team that was born in the trades, has built our careers in the trades, and intimately understand a contractor's side of the business and some of the struggles or roadblocks that they may encounter when adopting technology for their business. And so we took that to market 5 years ago, founding Powerhouse, becoming the first software consulting firm for the trades. And it's been an incredible ride in solutioning for the industry and watching these advancements make sense and change their businesses.
Nice, nice. Excellent intro into your background and trailblazer, right?
I think so. I think so. You and I were just talking about how long we've both been doing marketing for the trades. And of course, I don't do marketing anymore, but that's how I got my start in the industry. And I think back to some of the changes that we saw on the marketing side with the advent of digital marketing, for example. So when I first started, that wasn't a thing. And then we saw this whole introduction of SEO and paid digital and all of this complexity that contractors weren't accustomed to managing internally. And so that was quite a shift in the industry. And once everybody got used to that, now we're welcoming all sorts of other technology that's changing the business. So we're sort of seeing that cycle again.
Yeah, it's ever evolving. It's rapidly growing at a rapid pace.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And it's quite a bit to keep up with and manage, especially for owner operators that have so much on their plates already. Really learning technology, learning the FSMs, understanding how to build new workflows or train teams. It really can be a full-time, all-encompassing job. And so that's really why we exist, is to sort of ease that burden from contractors, letting them leverage our subject matter expertise, not just in the available technology, how it works, what it does, but also how to apply it and integrate it into a contractor's unique business.
Mm, excellent. So, like, as a contractor, before integrating any tools, what key factors should I consider to make sure that the technology aligns with my business?
That's one of my favorite questions because I feel like it's so seldom asked or thought about prior to signing up for new tools. So the idea is technology will help a business to run more efficiently. Right? So when you adopt technology, that's really the goal, is how can you streamline your processes? How can you lean more on tools or automation or technology, allowing your people to produce revenue, to focus on what they should do. But seldom do contractors have an intentional plan as to What technology do they need? How will they implement it? How will they use it? Does it fit within their budget? Does it make sense for the stage of business that they're in? And it's those key questions that we've started to shed light on over the past few years here at Powerhouse, with a primary focus on FSMs. So these are field service management software. Of course, we have Service Titan, Field Edge, Jobber, House Call Pro. There is an FSM out there for every contractor. And I would venture to say most contractors are comfortable with the fact that to remain competitive today, they need an FSM. At the very minimum, you need an FSM. Then there's all sorts of other tools that you can integrate into your FSM to further enhance your business. And going back to your question, how do you know what you need or when you should adopt it? The best answer that we give is start with your foundation. Start with your FSM and really understand what it can do for you. Does it meet your current business needs? Are you aware of all of the applications or configurations that that software offers prior to looking externally? Really understand what you're already paying for. And then the term that we use is fill the gaps from there. Have a very thoughtful and intentional plan about, if I want to increase sales, we might look at certain tools like advanced price books or advanced price proposal and estimate tools. So those are things that we can look into after you've mastered your base platform.
I like that. Like, like you said, most people think about and then make a decision and they fully think about things later on. But it's best to really gather up your thoughts and your direction and where you want to head ahead of time before just diving in.
That's right. That's right. Really have an intentional plan. And that's not just with the identification of the tool, but how you're going to implement it, how you're going to manage it. This is another really key area of education that we provide to our clients is once you have the tool in place and you've trained your teams on how to use it, that's really only the beginning. Now, what are you going to do with all of this data that's available to you? So once you have, for example, your new FSM in place and you're tracking your calls inside the platform and you have your dispatch boards set up and you've got your new memberships built out, all of that is wonderful, but are you managing and understanding your data? Do you know which of your CSRs have quality booking rates? Which ones could use extra training? Do you know your technician efficiency? How well are your dispatchers doing? So it's one thing just to implement the technology, but then the next hurdle is understanding how to use it at the management or owner level.
Mhm. I love that. Really thinking about that in a sense, when, a contractor is trying to implement this new piece of tool inside of their business, what are some of the best practices that you would suggest to make sure that it's going to flow smoothly?
The key best practice is getting your team's buy-in.
Mm.
It's change management. So there's nothing worse than an owner operator coming back to the office. We always say this, like after one of the big industry trade shows, and they've signed up for all these wonderful new tools and services, and they come back to the office and they say, "Here, implement them." Right? And so you don't have your team's buy-in. Your team may not understand the value that that tool provides or the WIFM, the what's in it for them. That's a really key component of change management. And so if you do not have the understanding or the buy-in from the individuals that are expected to use these tools on a daily basis to do their job, that's where we see a lot of failure. So it's that old adage, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Mhm. Yeah, really making that decision, at a trade show, like I said, and coming back and say, "Here, team, let's get this up and going."
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So making sure that you understand how it's going to affect your team, that you've had conversations with them about the need, what the tool solves. If it's relevant to their department, make sure that they're sitting in on the demos, that they understand what it does, and then have a plan in place for how you're going to implement and roll out the new technology internally.
I love that. I love that. Now we roll out this technology, right? How do I measure my ROI?
That's understanding your data. That goes back to understanding how you're going to use the output of your tools. So whether it is your primary KPIs within your FSM, so your call booking rate, your technician conversion rate, different stats like that that are very common in our industry, you should be able to monitor those on a real-time basis within your software, and you should be able to trust that data. Trusting your data is paramount. And that's again where we see a lot of contractors fail with software adoption is if you do not have thoughtful training plans in place or documented processes on workflows within the software, that means you could have each CSR booking calls in a different fashion. So can you really trust your call booking rate? That's the importance of planning, documenting processes, and then monitoring the data. Again, so you understand, here's my top performers, here's my lower performers, what's the plan to standardize everybody's output? And that doesn't just apply to primary FSM. The hot topic in the industry right now is AI, and we see so many tools that are offering automation. For example, using AI to monitor technicians' performance in homes. It's a really popular one. There's some very cool tools out there right now that will do that. But if the service manager or the sales manager back at the office is not analyzing the output from those tools, the performance data, setting up coaching plans, well, then you're basically just paying for a fancy listening tool, but you're not really affecting change in your organization. So all of that seems super overwhelming, right? So when are you going to find the time to figure that out? When are you going to find the time to determine what you need, determine how to implement it, get your team's buy-in, develop the new workflows, document the processes, then monitor the data, build your reports? That is a full-time job. And as soon as you figure it out, there's a new release on the technology, right? And you get to start all over. That is the importance of fractional technology support services. So going back to the niche industry that we've carved out and built for the trades, it's understanding a contractor's limitations and offering that expert level guidance so that they can make decisions based on data that's being fed to them that they can trust.
Mhm. Really great breakdown and insight there. A lot of valuable gems. And like you said, if you have this software, you get it installed inside of your business, and then you have it recording reps and but you're not tracking that stuff, right? Or nobody's paying attention to that data, then you can't make informed decisions, and like the tool doesn't, you don't maximize the tool to its full potential.
Exactly.
Mhm. Now, when we're thinking about implementing these tools and really just trying to make sure that the full team is brought in to using the tools, what kind of advice would you give for, business owners just to make sure that everybody not only has that buy-in, but it's actually being used by everybody because sometimes, you can't see the full picture if this person over there isn't doing their part inside of the software.
Yeah, so that's your checks and balances. That goes back to understanding what are the metrics that you want to focus on as a business owner or as a manager within a business, and then building the reports to procure that data. So if you're the call center manager, I'm not picking on CSRs, but let's go back to that example. So if you're the call center manager and you'd like to determine how well your team has adopted the new call booking best practice, this new workflow that you've built out, the one thing that is going to show that to you is the data from within your platform. So again, if you notice anomalies or outliers in that data, for example, a CSR that has a 100% call booking rate, nobody really has a 100% call booking rate. So that tells us, hey, we need to go in and we need to provide a little extra training for this individual to make sure that they understand how to properly classify and book these calls. Same thing applies to, technicians. If you have one technician that's not closing estimates out in the field, he or she could require a little extra training. So it's knowing what your KPIs are, knowing what those markers are, and then watching for variances from those markers, and understanding where to get that data. So it can be a combination of reports, it can be custom reports, it can be custom dashboards. So again, understanding where you can get that data from within the FSM.
Yeah, it's so important knowing where to go and how to extract that information so you can get the full picture. It's just going to really help, the business help you make informed decisions, which team members need additional coaching, and then some changes that actually can be implemented if needed.
Definitely.
Mhm. Now, so many different tech stacks out there, what would your recommendation be as to picking tech stacks, but not trying to overly complicate it because there's so many, and you can have so many different things going on all at one time, and it can really make it confusing if they don't integrate well.
Sure. So that's the need that we've seen in the industry right now, is understanding what combination of tools is appropriate for a contractor's business. And it goes back to what we said at the beginning, this wild increase in technology solutions is very new to our industry. Of course, FSMs like ServiceTitan have been around for quite some time, but it's really within the past 2 years, maybe 3 years, that we've seen an explosion of third-party technology integration solutions. And that's where we've seen contractors get overwhelmed, confused, or frustrated with all of the options that are out there, because every day there is another message on the social boards saying, hey, sign up for this technology at 10x my revenue, or right, or maybe a peer's telling you, or you see a competitor doing it. So contractors are being bombarded with all of these solutions, and in a lot of cases signing up for them, again, without a plan and without understanding what do they already have access to within their primary FSM. So what we've developed here at Powerhouse is a service that vets and audits a contractor's current technology stack and assesses what is needed or not needed according to their current business and their goals. So we're recommending a more appropriate tech stack designed to optimize their company and optimize their investment. So we're looking to cut out redundancies, wasted spend, and overall confusion within the contractor's business about what they're using, how they're using it, why they're using it.
I love that. I love that because so many different things could be going on all at one time and it could be money out the door, right? So having your team come in, make those appropriate recommendations, taking the homework out of it because it takes due diligence, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's really amazing. That's really good. Especially like you said, it's so many things now popping up that we haven't seen before. And each day it's like, oh man, this is really good. This is oh man, this is over here too. And it could get to be sort of an overload. And then if you get like that impulse, like you said, you might sign up for six different things.
Yeah, most contractors do, and we see that's where what I've termed perceived efficiency happening within our industry, because the idea is when I sign up for this product or when I sign up for this tool, it's going to fix something in my business, whatever that the product is solving. And it's not to say that it won't. The technology that's entering this space is phenomenal. It's so impressive, the solutions that are available to contractors. But without that intentional plan, and it's so boring, it's not exciting, or it takes intentional planning, hard work, and management to get the most out of these tools. They are not plug and play solutions, and it's assuming that they are is what's leading us to that state of overwhelm that we see, where I've signed up for all of this, but my profit margins have decreased significantly. My sales have not gone up. My team's frustrated. So while they sign up with the best of intentions, without that plan or without that advocate, without that support, the person who knows technology, the person who knows what you're using, why you're using it, how to train your team, how to be there when your team has questions, that's where we can see failure rates really increase.
Yeah, and we really don't want to see that, right? We want to see that come down, simple systems being implemented, team understanding, knowing how to use the technology, and learning how to be able to get the right data out of it.
That's right.
Mhm. Now, let's just say I'm a smaller, home service company, with a limited budget. What strategies would you recommend for me gradually building an effective tech stack?
Yes, start with your FSM. Start with your FSM, because these tools are, for the most part, all-in-one solutions that offer a smaller contractor everything that they need to operationalize their business. Some of the software does not have all of the bells and whistles. So, for example, Service Titan, which would be a leading choice in our industry for growing and emerging contractors, that may not be appropriate for a shop that has one technician, for example, from a cost perspective or from a complexity perspective. So, for example, that one shop business may not need complete inventory functionality. That's just not on their roadmap yet. They're in growth mode right now. They need to focus on core business operations. So start with an FSM that makes sense for your business and grow with it. Make sure that you understand the resources that are available to you. If you're a small shop, partner with your FSM. Be intentional about meeting with the support that those FSM providers provide. That's one of my favorite things to remind contractors of in our industry, because it's quite unusual when you think about the software space. The FSM providers in our industry do an incredible job of providing customer support. It may not be at the speed contractors like, and also it may not focus on growing their business or proactively managing their software. But if you have quick questions, or if you have bugs, or if you want to know, hey, am I using this software? Am I getting the most out of it? Leverage the support that's included with your FSM. Schedule that meeting. Make sure you meet with them every week. And then once you grow to a bigger size, consider outsourcing your technology management to a professional services company like Powerhouse, where you have the full expertise and visibility into technology that's available in the market. how to implement it for your business, how to grow with it, how to understand that data. But for the small contractor, start out with what you've got included.
I love that. I love that. Just starting out, fully utilizing, that field management software, and then, really growing from there, right? As your needs are going to grow as the company grows, like then you're
Mhm.
going to be able to go into these different areas. So that's, very important. Sometimes, you could look at a certain thing like, oh man, this is nice, but you're not there yet, right? So you just want to focus in, like you said, where you're at, you're on growth mode, focus on that, and then we can go to the next level.
That's right.
hmm Well, Jenny, this has been amazing. Can you let the audience know where to find you at?
Yeah, certainly. So you can visit us online at mypowerhouse.group. Again, that's mypowerhouse.group, not a .com. So I wanted to make sure we repeated that. And we have, of course, all of our contact information there. You can reach out. If you're curious about where you're at with your technology or how well you're using your Service Titan or Field Edge or Primary FSM, we do offer complimentary discovery calls with our account executive team. So go ahead and sign up, see what you've got going on, and hear from an expert in the space.
Excellent. That's amazing. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
Sounds good. Well, it was a pleasure to join you this morning. Thank you so much for all the thoughtful questions.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. We hope to have you back for part two.
That would be wonderful.
Excellent. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you tune into the next one. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.